her condition, her symptoms?
She sits daily in a darkened room. She can't stand the light. She's been like this for the last 18 months. Ever since she returned from India.
India? Interesting. What took her so far from home?
Love. And marriage to the man she loved. George Cunningham. They were childhood sweethearts. Neither of them ever looked at another, not even while they were parted, while he was away making his way in the world. For 5 years he was away, first in London and then in India. When he returned, they were wed, and scarcely 2 months later, he was made commander of an Indiaman sailing for Madras. Of course, Isabel went with him. You cannot imagine the things that child has suffered. It is a miracle her mind survived it.
Her mind, you say? So this is not just some affliction of the eyes that troubles the young lady?
She may tell you the whole story herself, Doctor. All I will say is that she suffered some kind of fit, a faint, brought on by a hallucination, a vision, if you will, of her dear dead husband, George, who died on that voyage and whose body she saw committed to the depths of the Indian Ocean. It is a vision that has recurred again and again. But please, ask her yourself, hear her story.
It sounds as if she is in the grip of a condition we call monomania. Idée fixe, a single
yes,
solitary delusion.
Indeed, it is so. But please, Doctor, ask her yourself. Hear her story.
Mrs. Cunningham, please excuse me. I am the local doctor, and although no specialist, your mother, in her concern for you, has asked me to examine your eyes to see if I can determine the cause of your photophobia, your aversion to light. She has also mentioned certain visions that have been troubling you. You may wish to discuss them? Very well. Well, first, may I please examine your eyes? I can see no obvious cause for your photophobia. Please, tell me something of your voyage to India. What happened on the journey may have caused your symptoms. And perhaps those that your mother mentioned. She said you had been subject to fainting and terrible hallucinations.
I am not mad.
Of that I am assured. But please, tell me about the trip. It may be helpful.
At first, I was naturally apprehensive of such a voyage, all the way to India. But I had such love for my George and such faith in him. And I quickly came to enjoy the life on a great three-masted sailing ship. There was another lady on board, a Mrs. Hardy bound for Cape Town with 2 servant girls. The first officer was called Crawley, and the second mate was a man named Buste. The rest of the crew I saw little of. Life was hard on a sailing ship, and the men were busy. There was a steward, a German called Kreutz. I did not like the look of him. And George, when I mentioned it, did say he wasn't too sure of him, but he'd had no choice in picking the crew. At the Cape, Mrs. Hardy disembarked, and her 2 servants went ashore. One had agreed to stay with me to Madras, but did not come back aboard. I went to George to delay sailing, but Crawley pointed out that a favourable wind had sprung up, and so we departed under a stiff gale for Mozambique.
Hoist the mainsail. Do you want to miss that wind? Aye,
We were following the coast of Madagascar. George told me stories of the cannibalism that had been reported there. I suppose he meant to distract me. And all it did was frighten me, make me even more anxious, especially when the wind dropped and we were becalmed off that fearful place. At night I couldn't sleep. I would walk the deck, seeing the fires of the natives on the shore and imagining all sorts of horrors. The air was still. The sea was like glass, and the sails hung loose on the masts. The men were listless, and all the time that dark, forbidding coastline filled my gaze.
It sounds as if you're already suffering from nervous exhaustion. The lack of sleep, the lack of female company, the lurid tales on an overwrought mind. Yes.
But worse, far worse was to come. As I wandered the deck, Kreutz came to me. He said that the captain, my George, was ill. I rushed to the cuddy cabin he used and found my beloved George in agony with spasms of pain in his stomach and chest. Oh, he lay there vomiting.
Oh, Isabella, what's happening to me? I'm dying.
I did not know whose name he was trying to say. Kreutz? But at that moment he passed out. Second mate Buse came in, and I asked him what he thought had happened to George, but he just looked wildly and shook his head. I nursed George. He was obviously dying. To the voices of the men, Crawley, Kreutz and Buse, and the tread of their feet on the deck above, George raved wildly. Unconnected words. Some about our childhood, some about the ship and his command, some about the crew, his distrust of Kreutz, all the rain mixed up. Then he turned, staring at me, reached out, and I saw the light leave him. I screamed and rushed out onto the deck. I fear I might have thrown myself overboard. Crawley seized me and dragged me back. He and Kreutz came to the cuddy. They undressed George and wound a large sheet around his body. As I worked, I could not bear to look at the lamp. After they left, I dimmed its flame and sat with my dear George in near darkness. Lying there in the long white shroud, I pulled back the folds and kissed his dear face. I must have slept.
You were exhausted, my dear. The sleep was a reflex, a protective reflex from the brain.
When I came to, I heard voices again. Crawley and Kreutz.
When the wind starts, it'll be from the north. We should make all speed for Rio.
Yeah, we get rid of the cargo and head for the West Indies.
Right, Hans. Tell the ship's carpenter to knock out the coffin. We'll put the body over the side tomorrow.
What do we do with her?
Put her ashore. The natives will find a use for her.
You're forgetting we're still becalmed. There's no wind to get us out of this channel.
No, nor none to bring no one looking for us, neither. Now, the body, let's get it up on deck.
They came and ordered me back to my cabin. Before they could take him, I pulled back the folds and kissed my beloved George for the last time. His pale face was imprinted on my eyes and mind. I could not bring myself to go up on deck, even to see my dear husband being committed to the sea.
Mein Gott. The coffin is split open in the water.